So it's been a long time since I last talked to you guys about a case study of a property that I sold. So today we're going to run through one of my latest deals to show you how to take a property from A to Z to get it sold and how to be one of the best agents in the world. Just before we get into that, make sure you hit the like button and subscribe and turn on the notification bell to help me out in the YouTube algorithm and to not miss out on these uploads. And also have a look in the description. We're going to leave a link to a new website that I've just launched for my personal brand. We're going to be posting some interesting content on there that won't be available on YouTube, events, products and things like that that some of you may benefit from. So as I say, go to the link in the description box to check that out. And with that being said, let's get straight into the video. Westbourne Gardens. It's a beautiful garden square in Notting Hill where I was very, very lucky enough to be instructed to sell a flat. Now, I'm putting the flat on the screen now. You'll see a video of what it looks like. There is a bit of a backstory of this, and I'm going to run you through how we got it from A to Z in terms of getting instructed on it in the first place and then ending up selling it. So I've actually sold this property before. I sold it to the current owners not that long ago, and the owners before that. So I've been involved in the property for years and years and years, and that's why the owners came back to me for the sale, because they enjoyed their dealings with me, which is quite rare actually. Usually in the UK, when an agent sells a property, the seller the buyer very, very rarely comes back to them when they come to sell. But in this case, I managed to get the call. I sat on the sofa in front of them and pitched my company and my strategy and how we go about things, and ended up winning the mandate. Obviously, they were considering other agents alongside us, but we managed to win the mandate on the pitch and get the property and get the instructions to sell it. So we put together the marketing material. We had photos, floor plan and videos done and put together. We actually posted the video tour on YouTube, which ended up getting like 50,000 views on a YouTube video, which is pretty crazy. It's part of our digital strategy for the properties that we market. And we put it live to the usual property portals and worked hard on the phones as well. We called all of the local agents and asked if they had buyers for the flat as well, and we sent them the brochure and basically pushed it really, really, really hard. These clients are really important to me, like all of the clients that I have, and so I make sure that every property we take on, we put a lot of effort into. So we did the big launch. We actually ended up putting it under offer, so agreeing a price and almost selling it within the first 2 weeks of marketing the property, which is pretty good going, especially as we were asking for a record price on the flat. So we did our job very well, got it under offer. The only reason the buyer bought that property is because we applied a certain strategy. Now there's a bit of a story, so make sure you hear me out here, but this is how I initially got the buyer to offer the price on the property, and I'm going to give you a few details on how we marketed it and what the sale price was as well. So we went on the market at 1.1 million, which is about £1,600 per square foot, which is a pretty high price for Westbourne Gardens. And the buyer inquired on the property through one of the property portals, but I made sure to not just to take her to Westbourne Gardens. Part of my strategy is actually educating buyers and making sure that they're aware of what they're buying and why they should pay a certain price for a certain property. It's no good just taking a buyer, flying into a viewing, saying this is the kitchen, this is the bathroom, and then flying back out and maybe following up with them, maybe not, spending 10 minutes with that individual. I don't like that way of operating. I took this buyer in particular and showed her 3 other flats, including this one. That way we spent about an hour and a half together. We built a level of trust, we got to know each other. And when it came to making a decision and putting an offer in on Westbourne Gardens the next day, when I was advising her on what the price should be and why she should buy this property, she trusted me more than she would have done if I only spent 10 minutes with her and then called her the next day and tried to get an offer out of her, if that makes sense, because she had other reference points when comparing Westbourne Gardens to the rest of the market. She had seen other things with me, and so I was able to make it pretty easy in her head in terms of this is why you should buy this property for this money, etc, etc. So we saw a few of these properties. We decided the next day that she wanted to put in an offer for the property. She initially wanted to write an offer far, far, far below the asking price, but after spending time with her discussing the comparables and everything else that's on the market, she decided to go ahead with a full asking price offer. So we got that agreed and put it into solicitors' hands. The conveyancing process in the UK can take, up to 6 months to actually get a deal through. I'd say the average is probably 3 months. In this case, things started moving quite quickly. The buyer needed a mortgage, so we did a mortgage survey and the mortgage offer came, so it was all fine, it all checked out. Anyway, a few weeks down the line, she started getting a bit difficult. And a few weeks after that, she actually got cold feet and pulled out of the transaction, which was devastating because my clients that were selling this were trying to buy something else elsewhere, and it put the purchase of the property they were trying to buy at a huge risk. So things started to get really tough, and that's where my relationship with my clients started to really get tested, if that makes sense. Most people in that case sack off the agent and go with a new one, but we stuck together and kept going. Buyers in the UK have an incredible amount of power and they can really ruin things at the moment. There's not much to stop them from doing that. It's incredibly frustrating when you work on something for 2 or 3 months and then the deal falls through because of someone's lack of commitment. You know, you can sort of walk away without any repercussions apart from losing maybe your legal fees, and that's why it's not ideal and really need looking at, in my opinion. After she pulled out, we worked even harder. We doubled down on the property and did everything we could to get it sold. As I say, the relationship started to get tested between me and my clients, and in the end, they asked if I would consider bringing on another agent on a sort of joint sole agency agreement to help with the sale. I ended up agreeing to that because I wanted to make them feel like I'm absolutely on their side and that I'm not going to block what they think is right, but I assured them that I would still be the one to sell it. And lo and behold, a few weeks after that, very recently, we did find another buyer, and this is where it gets really exciting. So we found another buyer, and I'll tell you how the commission works on this deal as well, but just listen to what happened with this buyer because it's very important. The other agents had also found the buyer a few weeks before I found my buyer, and so they were under offer as such, trying to exchange contracts on the property. I made my buyer aware of the fact that that was the case and that we would have to be extremely creative and very, very fast to secure the property and to actually secure the purchase for this buyer in particular. And so, to cut a long story short, I got her to offer the full asking price, although she didn't want to pay that much, full asking price, and we put together an amazing plan, an amazing structure with the solicitors. Again, more detail on all of this stuff will be available most likely on my website, or if you'd like to see it as a video, let me know in the comments. We put together a power team on the legal front and we managed to exchange contracts that same day on the property within 2 hours, which is an industry record for a leasehold flat. To actually exchange contracts on a leasehold flat, it usually takes 3 to 6 months, as I said to you. We managed to do it in 2 hours because we had the strategy and we had the amazing team of people around us to make it happen. And so after all of this fuss of having the buyer pull out, having the deal fall through, then having to instruct another agent because the relationship got tight between my client and I, to then being able to deliver a buyer at full asking price and to exchange contracts in 2 hours was just incredible. It was one of the best feelings that I'd ever had, and it's actually the fastest deal that I'd ever done. And I was very, very, very proud to be able to have managed that transaction on behalf of the buyer and my clients as well. So it's a huge achievement and one that I'm going to remember for a long time. But it all came down to having the right strategy, having the right people around us, and pushing for this exchange, which usually takes a long time. So the commission on the deal, again, average fees in prime central London range between 1.5% and 2.5%. We're on the higher end of that at 2.5%. The purchase price in the end was £1 million, and so the full commission on that property was £25,000. And so some would argue that that's, you know, one viewing, then 2 hours of work, and then I've made 25 grand. But I see it as actually maintaining a relationship with these clients for 2 years, then getting the listing, doing all the marketing, doing all of the hard work, finding a buyer, having that buyer pull out, the deal falling apart, going through tension of the clients, then finding the new buyer and doing the 2 hour exchange and making 25 grand. So oftentimes from A to Z, it can be a process that takes years and years and years, or it could be much quicker. In this case, it's been years of relationship building. And then on the execution front, we're actually relatively quick relative to other scenarios. So that's the case study of Westbourne Gardens and how we managed to sell it from A to Z. I already had the relationship with the clients, so I'm not going to talk about how to potentially prospect and find the listing in the first place because I already knew these clients. We can leave that for another video. I then pitched my strategy to them. There's 3 main pillars to my strategy, which we'll go through another time. They trusted me, they gave me the listing, we agreed the fee, we did the marketing, we did the hard work, we found the buyer, it fell through. Another agent came on board, we still ended up finding the right buyer. We exchanged contracts in 2 hours, done deal, commission £25,000, and that is from A to Z how this deal happened, but obviously it was a long journey and it took a lot of hard work. If you have any questions, put them in the comment, but otherwise, thanks for watching. Make sure you subscribe, turn on the notification bell, and take a look at the new website in the description box. See you next time.